Genesis chapter 37. Jacob is an older man. In his older age, he has Joseph. He is one of his father's favorites, if not the favorite. His father makes him this coat of many colors. Joseph's brothers see that their dad is favoring him, so they became really jealous. And it says at age 17, Joseph was out in the fields. He came back and told his dad, had a report about his brothers, and it wasn't a good report. That's all we hear about that. His brothers were so jealous of the favoritism of their father toward him that they could not even speak to each other on friendly terms. Then Joseph has a dream. He wants to share this dream with his brothers. And when his brothers hear this dream, oh, they hate him even more. So let's hear what the dream was about. Verse 6 says, "And he said to them, please listen to this dream which I had. For behold, we were binding sheaves in the field, and lo, my sheaf rose up and also stood erect. And behold, your sheaves gathered around and bowed down to my sheaf. Then his brothers said to him, are you actually going to reign over us? Or are you really going to rule over us?" So they hated him even more for his dreams and for his words. Now he had still another dream and related it to his brothers and said, lo, I have had still another dream, and behold, the sun and the moon and 11 stars were bowing down to me. And he related it to his father and to his brothers. And his father rebuked him and said to him, what is this dream that you have had? Shall I and your mother and your brothers actually come to bow ourselves down before you to the ground? And his brothers were jealous of him, but his father kept the saying in mind. So the brothers then go out to pasture. They're working in the fields, tending to the flocks. Jacob sends Joseph to go check on his brothers in the flocks, wants him to report back to them. When Joseph finds them, they begin immediately plotting to kill him because they are so stricken with jealousy. Verse 19 and 20 say this, "And they said to one another, here comes this dreamer. Now then, come and let us kill him and throw him into one of the pits. And we will say, a wild beast devoured him. Then let us see what will become of his dreams." Oh, the hate. So here we have Jacob. He's playing favorites a little bit. And that favoritism is planting seeds. It's all the enemy needs to plant seeds of division. So the question becomes, are you now showing favoritism in any part of your life that's creating division among others? Sometimes the problem is not like Joseph and his brothers. The problem is dad creating favoritism. That is the gateway for division. Maybe it's not with your children. Maybe it's on the job, between coworkers. It's between your parents. Maybe it's with your own siblings, in your friend groups, in your church. You know, one of the most toxic things that can happen in a church is for there to become little cliques that form. There's a group that will always feel left out for whatever reason, unwelcome, when there's no one connecting to them. Super dangerous for a church body. It's all the enemy needs to be able to plant division lines, causing that group of people that feel left out to leave. When are we being Jacobs? I'm going to challenge you this weekend, when you go attend your place of worship, or next week when you go to your job, or when you're gathered around for holiday family gatherings this week, that you go speak and invest time in getting to know and showing love to those that you normally don't. Maybe there's people that attend your place of worship every Sunday that you've never spoken to. You don't know their name. You don't know anything about them. Branch out. And by the end of the day, know their name. How many children do they have? Find out something about them and grow that each week to know a little bit more about them. Giving them a sense of community. What you're doing in that moment is you are running the enemy out from amongst you. Now let's go to Joseph. You could read about Joseph with just what we're given, and you could relate him to many different characters. You may see him as the tattletale who went and told on his brothers. He may have just been obedient to his father's request because his father is known to send him out into the fields to go check on his brothers and report back. So he may have been in a hard place. You may see him as spoiled because he was given a favoritism gift, this coat. Did he ask for the coat? Doesn't say that. It's easy to assume people are spoiled because they have something maybe that you don't have. Sometimes we are jealous of the favor on someone else's life that this person didn't even really ask for. Now here we have him with the dreams. He's excited about the dreams. We know his brothers do not communicate friendly with him. So why he chose to share these dreams with his brothers, I don't know. Could it have been for a little jab at them? Maybe. Or could it be that he was trying to make sense of it all and he was just wanting their help? We don't know. All we know is that he told them and their jealousy flared even more. We should always be checking our motives. Are our motives pure, or are we being the instigator, fanning the flames of jealousy with other people around us purely because we have impure motives? We want to try to gain favoritism by gossiping. They will use gossip as a form of connection. because they're afraid that they have nothing else valuable to contribute or interesting to say. But human nature loves gossip. So when they gossip and people flock to them, they feel accepted. They feel a part of something, like somebody wants to hear what they have to say, which is so unhealthy. Are we being a little spoiled because of favoritism? Are we starting to look down on the others around us because we sense the favor? Maybe it's on your job. Are you looking down on the ones beneath you? Sometimes we have dreams that we share with the wrong people. Joseph sharing this dream with his brothers who were already jealous, what good was going to come from that? Sometimes you have to hold your dreams close to the vest, and sometimes you can only share them with the people that you are meant to, that will pour into you. Now we have the brothers. The brothers are probably feeling abandoned emotionally by dad, not good enough. What has you bound today, whether that's a rival in your home, on your job, in your ministry, in your church, in your marriage with your family, your children? What are you jealous of and why? The next question I want to ask you is, what do you fear? Now, the common response when pride's kicking in is, I'm not afraid of anything. If you identify what you're jealous of and you ask yourself, why are you jealous of that? You're going to say, well, because, and you're going to fill in the blank. Then you take that blank and you ask yourself, what concerns you if that blank happens? Well, if that happens, then this might happen. And break that down until you hit the root. I don't know of a time, not to say it's not, but I don't know of a time that I have done this exercise with anyone that it hasn't been rooted in fear of something. See, we have to get to the root of the fear. When we get to the root of the fear, we can call out the lie of the enemy. And when we can shut that lie down and fear must flee, then we can be free of these chains of jealousy. All of that can be squashed when we get to the fear and the lie behind it. So let's look at what the lie was in this situation. They put their brother in a pit. They kill this animal. They throw blood all over his coat. They're going to take the coat back to dad and say a wild animal must have killed him, but they sold him off into slavery. And the slave owners are taking him to another country. He's there in slavery. He ends up interpreting a dream that Pharaoh, the leader of Egypt, had at that time. Not only was Joseph being able to receive dreams as warnings and prophetic things about what's about to happen, he was able to interpret those dreams. Pharaoh has this dream. He calls for anyone that can interpret this dream. They bring Joseph. He interprets the dream. It's about a famine that's coming. A famine is when there is no food to be found. They're able to put into action now the steps they need to take to ensure they have food stored up for this famine. The famine later hits the lands, but Egypt is the only place that had food. This famine also means that Joseph's father and his brothers were over in their own homeland and they are starving. Now, other people were coming to Egypt begging for food. You can just imagine off in the distance the day that Joseph's brothers are coming up to seek food and they're bowing down. Joseph knows that it's his brothers. Pharaoh tells Joseph to tell his brothers to go get their dad and all of their cattle, their families, and relocate here in Egypt. And he will take care of them, gives them land that they can settle on, and they will have plenty of food to eat. See, it was these two dreams coming true. They were coming together. The family was reunited. And not only that, it saved their life. So whose dreams are you kicking rocks at today? Who are you hating on right now with jealousy and fear and resentment that may actually be the thing that later on down the road saves your life? What it is doing is robbing you of the joy of your life today. This is the point to go pray and ask God to help you understand and to take these feelings away. And if you want to truly defeat them so they don't keep coming back, keep digging down till you find what you're afraid of. And you call out that lie. The Bible tells us to take our thoughts captive. That's how we defeat the enemy. We're not fighting flesh and blood. Joseph wasn't fighting his brothers and his dad and they weren't all fighting each other. They're fighting what the enemy is doing. They all together gave him so many open doors to cause division. But when you work together to come toward unity and love, the healing comes in and the enemy is squeezed out. So let's squeeze him out of our lives today, out of our homes, out of our workplaces, out of our ministries, out of our places of worship, and embrace one another with love.